one, every time you begin a film, of course, there's the perfect version in your head, and you have to surrender that because it's never going to be that thing.
Yeah.
It's going to evolve. You have to learn to love the process of evolution, that it is going to change and surprise you. My father had a line that I always really loved, which was, at a certain point, you have to stop and let the film tell you who it is. Kind of like a kid. You know, when you're raising a child, it's a similar thing. That at first you're like, I'm gonna make sure that you are completely sane. You'll have 100% self-confidence. You'll have every tool necessary. And then your kid starts telling you, wait, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And a film does the same thing.
Yeah.
It does that while you're writing it, does that on set, and it does that during the edit. And you're crazy to ignore it.
Yeah.
You want to ignore it.
Right. It's
because you're like, I created you.
Does it ever tell you that it's something that you're not going to like and no one's going to like?
Well, sure. I mean, like, I think, okay, so this is the most common example I can give of this is that people who write things all the time will say, well, this scene is the reason I made the whole movie. This moment, that moment where she hangs the clothes on the hanger, you know, that's it. That's the whole reason. It's like, I'm sorry, that scene has no place in the movie whatsoever anymore. Right. And that may have been the catalyst of what got you started. Yeah. But it took you to a much more important place, and it's time to let go. Another example is songs. You know, with every movie I've ever written, there is a song that gets me writing every single time. And I'm always thinking, this is the soundtrack. This is the opening theme song. This is the closing credits. It's going to be everywhere. And then you get to the movie and you're like, oh, I don't need to use that song anymore because the film is saying everything the song was saying. Wow. Now I need to find different music that complements it.
Do you play it over and over when you write? Like, is it that kind of a thing?
What I found early on is that obviously the hardest part, it's like going to the gym. The hardest part is walking in. And is like what's going to actually get you writing. And nothing puts you into the movie like a song. Yeah. Yeah. What gets you writing?
I listen to Oscar Peterson. If I put
no matter what you're writing.
No matter what I'm writing. Not to inspire, not like what you're saying of like, no, this piece is going to, this is giving me like a morning jacket kind of a vibe. No, this is just the tick, 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 tick in your brain. That album just gets me into a place of, oh yeah, we're writing now.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I need the inner soundtrack of the main character. I need the song that makes you feel, because I feel like I'm always writing from the main character's point of view at first. Right. And I'm in love with movies about unlikable heroes. And so I'm at the beginning usually trying to relate to an unlikable person and trying to find the humanity in them. Yeah. And I think that starts with their ego, and it's like, all right, what gets this person up in the morning, and what allows them to do what they do? You know, whether it's a tobacco lobbyist or a guy who fires people for a living, or a woman who's trying to like be a home wrecker. Like, it's like, okay, but how can I feel like them and decent about myself? Yeah.
So, what was the Lorne Michaels, or did you have a song when you were writing this?
I mean, the kind of music I was listening to at the top was Fela Kuti, you know, and I you know, because you start listening to the music of Saturday Night Live in the 1970s, and Lorne was hip, and Lorne had great taste in music and was bringing a lot of interesting musical acts on, and was already friendly with a lot of cool musicians, even before he started the show. Yeah. So when I think about the early show, it's not just comedy. I mean, it really has its root. It has 1 foot in comedy, but 1 foot in music. Right. And the music is not an afterthought. Yeah. And the way that Howard Shore designed that band, designed the opening theme song, was really crucial as well. It had its roots in kind of jazz and rock and roll. You know, the theme song is really interesting in that it's never been recorded. Think of another TV show like that, where for 50 years, the opening theme song is played live every week and has a built-in sax solo, because Howard Shore, the guy who wrote it, was a saxophone player. He was a saxophonist in the band. Wow. So it features a saxophone solo, and it's played different every single week. And it's evolved over 50 years. And if you think about that idea alone, you get the genius of Saturday Night Live, that from the beginning they were saying, we're not locking anything into place. Right. This is going to change. This is going to change as a result of who's here, who the comedians are, who the writers are. And the show 10, 20, 30 years from now is not going to reflect what it is today.
Amazing. So Fela Kuti. Love Fela Kuti.
Yeah, so do I.
It has a Fela Kuti pace, this film.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think there's something that is this combination of rock and roll and African rhythms in Fela's music, and there's an urgency to it. And when I brought it up to John Batiste, he immediately got it. Like, he immediately understood what the idea was.
I worked on Live From Here, which was Prairie Home Companion, and John came in and guest hosted. I was in charge of the spoken word for it.
No kidding.
And Chris Steele did the music and was the host. And John came in, we were at the St. Fitzgerald in St. Paul. And he came in, and it's the only time I met him. And he came in and ran the music for, like, he's the leader of it. And the guest. What a otherworldly experience being around that guy. Yeah. Touched by God. Like, there is something, there is a rhythm and a joy and something going on there that is, I could not explain.
I've met a person who is simultaneously that brilliant and that unpretentious, and is trying to take the pretension out of music with everything he does. Like, it doesn't matter if he's playing Rachmaninoff, he's going to find a way to make it for everybody.
Wild.
So our approach on Saturday night was, again, how do we capture the moment of live? Like, and how do you do that while filmmaking? Because filmmaking obviously is a really practiced, choreographed, artistic endeavor in which you work over the course of a year and just refine and refine and refine. And yet what we're emulating is a show that's done in 6 days. Yeah. And that's the magic of it. Mm-hmm. So we were trying to find ways to do that in every part of the process, and music was the greatest because John started writing and recording the entire original score live on set.
Was he hired to do that?
Yeah, I mean, well, we knew that he was going to be the composer of the movie and he was going to play Billy Preston, but instead of doing the traditional process, which is you cut a scene, you put a click to it, you send it to a composer, the composer sends you back 5 different ideas that are literally written to every cut of the film. Every day on set, at wrap, John and his band would get out of their costumes, get into street clothes, come back to set, and our editor, Nathan Orloff, would play rough cuts of scenes on his laptop, and John would just immediately turn to his band and just point to an instrumentalist and go, all right, I want you to start on an A flat, go to a G, go to a B, get to the A flat, and then point to a percussionist, and he would mouth out a rhythm. And he's giving them these ideas, and he's just reacting in real time, and he's channeling. And we're recording, and those recordings are the score of the film.
Jeez.
But then we would take the score, get it back to editing, and now we're editing to that music. And as a result, the heartbeat of the film comes from John acting in real time.
So the editing rhythm mimicked his score. Wow.
Yeah, rather than the score trying to find a way around every edit that's already been made, we're letting John set the heartbeat.